apart from cricket, my second favorite sport is kabaddi. 4 years of engineering was definitely not fun. I couldn't have told my college that I'm interning in sports journalism and I'm doing engineering, right? The scripting of the video is essential to making the video look good.
E sala cup namde.
God, we're saying that and losing every year. So not, we've decided.
Have you ever wondered about how to go and work at any of these large sports teams such as the RCB? What kind of roles are even involved there? Well, one of the verticals of work that are involved at these large sports teams slash brands is social media. Posting content, doing interviews with players, and just basically evangelizing the brand so that people are more aware of it and are engaged with it. Well, today we talk to Mr. Prasen, who is behind a lot of these content initiatives at RCB. He has had previous experience in sports content writing and is very, very passionate about cricket as a sport. We learned from him how these posts come from mind into existence in the form that you see. We hope that you like this episode. Thank you so much.
Hi Prasen, how are you doing?
All good, man. Thank you so much for having me. Sorry, I haven't been available last few weeks because of the volume of work we've been doing, but it's great to be here. You guys are doing some great work. I was just checking out some stuff that you guys are doing. So thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
We are absolutely delighted to have you. Thanks for taking out time for us. So, without further ado, let's just dive into the questions that we have for you. So, could you please tell us about your journey in brief up till now? Like, what was your background and everything?
Yeah, it's quite funny actually. So I started off as a cricket nut. My grandpa used to play in the zonals and used to play district. So he sort of instilled that cricket craze in me when I was a young kid. So I started playing, and obviously went through school and college. I was probably among the top 5 worst students in my class. I would basically be a pain for the teachers because like my only interest was to be in extracurriculars and I didn't want to study at all. But obviously that's not how you pass school and college, and I learned it the hard way. But I mean, it was fun because obviously there was so much to do. I was involving myself in like sports and all of that. And I mean, up until I started engineering, so I'm an engineering graduate. Now that I say it, it sounds fun, but 4 years of engineering was definitely not fun. But before engineering, I sort of wanted to do a lot of things. I tried animation in 10th standard. One of my friends, uncles who at that time was working in Jet Airways, came for a counseling session, and I wanted to become a pilot. Then I wrote an NDA exam. I wanted to join the Air Force. I cleared it, but I was apparently obese for the physical test, and that sort of set me back a bit. But yeah, and then I joined engineering. So I did BTech in instrumentation, electronics and instrumentation, EIE they call it, in Amrita School of Engineering. Unfortunately, for a guy like me who was fully into extracurriculars, Amrita was a college which was completely non-extracurricular. Like their sole purpose was to educate and all of that. So even in college, so I did my first year, and that's when I realized that engineering is definitely not my cup of tea. I came back home. I remember the time my parents honestly have been like extremely supportive throughout. But so when I came home, I told them that I don't want to do this. I want to do something in sport. They asked me, they're like, what do you want to do? Do you have anything in mind? I said, I'll start freelancing for now. I'll probably figure out what I want to do over a course of time. So I started freelancing in 2016. I wrote my first few articles on a blog that I have, which I called at that time Walk with Sport. Of course, it doesn't exist now because I haven't had the time. But so I started off with that, and then Sportskeeda found me, and they offered me a freelance role. Of course, because I was still in college. So throughout 4 years of engineering, first year I studied a little bit. The rest of the 3 years, more than studying in college, I was basically just freelancing, and I wrote freelance for Sportskeeda, and then at some point the Bridge as well. And then after that, Sportskeeda offered me a job in as a sports editor in 2019 May. So from there, my journey started in sports journalism. I was lucky enough because the last day of my end sem exam, I had no job in hand. As in, basically, they had asked me to sit for placements. I said I don't want to sit because I didn't see myself doing any engineering job. So again at home also they were like, what are you going to do? But like it came as a blessing in disguise that I got a job from Sportskeeda before my last NSM exam. And so I joined as a sports editor in 2019. 2020, they made me cricket content manager. This was, of course, when COVID hit and we had no people left. And then 2021, they made me cricket and Indian sports manager because apart from cricket, my second favorite sport is kabaddi. I'd say actually kabaddi and cricket are like on par. And so obviously Olympics and all of that, they made me Indian sports manager. And then 2023, I had to make the tough decision of leaving Sportskeeda, where I was for like 3.5 years and completely enjoyed it. And I joined RCB in 2023 Feb. So did the WPL, did the IPL, and did the World Cup, and now here we are.
Nice, nice. So, did you formally learn content creation or social media dynamics, or went through any formal courses or communities which helped you during this journey?
So journalism as a career is something which is very welcoming. At least in my point of view, it welcomes people who know language and can create content, right? So, I mean, most of us, especially in Sportskeeda, when I was there for 3.5 years, you wouldn't believe it. We had a team of 8 people, and that 7 of them were engineers, right? And one person had come from a journalism background. So, journalism as a whole, content creation as a whole, is something which is very, very welcoming. And especially in this age of social media influencers taking over the world, I think especially in this ODI World Cup, we saw so many social media influencers is coming, and none of them have any sort of background in content creation or just in terms of having done any courses. They just do it out of passion. So most of us, and me in particular, I just did it out of passion because I really enjoy writing. And obviously sports was where all of my roots were, and I just started writing, and luckily it translated into something meaningful. I really enjoy interviewing people, so I started interviewing sports stars, and luckily I was given the platform by Sportskeeda, right, to obviously explore how much I can write, what I can write. And so that opened up avenues for me. So there was never any intention for me to formally study anything because I felt that luckily I was educated in a good school. So that gave me the education and I had knowledge of sports. So marrying both of those ideologies together, and that sort of blossomed into where I am right now.
Right.
That's a fantastic overview of what you had done and how you landed up into all the opportunities that you got until now. So, a quick question, like how did you get your first opportunity at the bridge without, say, not having a credential to show to them and still bagging the opportunity?
Yeah, so with the bridge, basically they were just starting off, right? And it was a startup, and they wanted people who were covering Indian sports. And so, I mean, I think they had opened up a position, or someone had reached out to me. So I remember they have three main people. They had Vikas at that time. They had Arvind, who were the co-founders, and so they basically reached out to me and they were like, you're covering kabaddi. Of course, PKL had started in 2014, so I'd already started covering kabaddi, and so they wanted someone who can cover Indian sports mainly. And so I had also covered a lot of athletics. I had covered volleyball, and so they were looking for new people to come in. And so when they reached out to me, I was still in engineering, so I couldn't commit to them because I told them that, if anything, I'd probably want to look at freelancing or maybe interning at that point in time. Because again, I couldn't have told my college that I'm interning in sports journalism and I'm doing engineering, right? So I had to tell them that I'll freelance and things like that. And so luckily enough, I got that opportunity where I learned a lot in terms of how to structure an article. And then that gave me like a lot of learning of how to approach certain things. And like I said, kabaddi and cricket are like on equal level for me. So basically getting that exposure of covering a tournament for the bridge and being out there on the field was something great. So it was not about credentials. They knew my writing, and that's what I'm saying about sports journalism in general, right? Even if you go to a place like Cricinfo and Cricbuzz, I bet like 70 to 75% of the people who are there have nothing to do with journalism as an education. They're all there out of passion. They're out of commitment. They're there because they've learned the art of writing and the art of delivering sports to people through stories. So you don't need that formal education. You just need a passion, and you need to have a good understanding and hold over language, which are two very main important things for you to sort of progress in the world of journalism, sports journalism at least.
Right. So, sir, you mentioned how writing the blog helped you land your opportunity. So,
Hmm.
similarly, for someone just starting out, how
Hmm.
can they get a job at companies like Sportskeeda, Cricinfo, Cricbuzz, and companies like these?
So one thing is, I would say, see, in our field, when you start off, right, you have to have this approach of needing to be open to anything, right? And so when I was leading the team at Sportskeeda, I was leading the cricket team first, and then gradually shifted to cricket and Indian sports. And I would tell my cricket writers also that you have to be able to explore your world beyond cricket, because right now, especially in a country like India, where like we have like how many billion people who know everything about cricket. Like literally, you walk on the road, you can talk to anyone about cricket. So if you want to stand out in some sense, you need to be able to know more than cricket. And so I would say, first of all, the thing is, even in this age, like especially now, right, a lot of people are transitioning towards video, and not too many people have the patience to sit and read articles. So if you want to be able to stand out, you should put your words in a way that people are able to read it. Like if you're writing 2,000 word articles, then there's a chance people may not read it if it is too long. So I'd say, first of all, you should be open to explore the opportunity that's there. Like, say, for example, if Sportskeeda is offering an Indian sports contract, and if they're not offering a cricket contract, if you have followed Indian sports, then you should take it up. But if you have not followed Indian sports, like that mentality should be there where you start learning, because then at some point in time later on, maybe you can apply for it if it comes up again. But if you're stuck to just following cricket and writing cricket, then like you're obviously it's like a horse with those blinders on, right? Like you're moving in only one direction, and like you don't have anywhere else to go. So I'd say applying at these companies is obviously something that anyone will naturally do, but the approach to learn and to adapt to what the company wants, because even at Sportskeeda, right, like when I was there, we were just covering mainly cricket, football, WWE, to some extent tennis, and all of that. And now with the advent of esports, pop culture and all of that, like it's a booming field. So everyone has to adapt at some point in time. So like if you're stuck to just what you know, then it's never going to help you advance in any field, right? So I would say, first of all, my approach to journalism, very honestly, like my ideology is that I am defined by the word shameless. Like I won't feel like at no point in time have I felt that I cannot express my views, right? Like whenever I've approached any athlete or any cricketer for an interview, I haven't thought in a way that, oh my God, this person is so big, why will they give me an interview? Like only when you try, you know whether you've succeeded or you failed. Like if you try, then you know, okay, fine, why they haven't given you the interview. But if they give you the interview, then you're struck gold, right? So in our field, especially, you need to be shameless. You need to be able to approach, have that mind frame to approach things without thinking of the result. So that's the way that I feel everyone should go about it.
So I think the crux lies between the passion and commitment that you have for doing anything, or say, in fact, like as you have mentioned, like you enjoy kabaddi and cricket almost equally. So your passion brings a lot of things to the table along with your skills as well, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, if you, the only way you can translate passion is by being more passionate to show people that you have that passion, right? Because if you
Right.
have a passion, like even if you have a passion for running, if you don't go on the road, then you can do nothing with that passion. So you need to be able to go out there and express that passion in some way. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
That makes sense. So, moving on to the next part of it, like how did you approach RCB and how should people approach for such big brands, which are very widely known in India and like bring you a lot of attention as well?
So to be honest, the RCB happened because so while I was, I mean, before RCB, I was given a chance to lead anchor a show called, basically there's this fan page called RCB Fan Army. And so the co-founder of that, Alan Abhishek, he's a very good friend, and he was very kind enough to give me the opportunity to anchor, the preview and review show before every match, after every match, for a year, for the previous season of IPL, right? Which was IPL 2022 and the one before that as well. So he was very kind to give me the opportunity. We found a nice bunch of people. So mainly we had three folks, two Abhisheks and one Mega and me. So we were basically doing the show, and that gave me a lot of exposure. And I think that put me out there on social media where people were watching the video. And I believe that, like, honestly, this is why I say, right, like, you need to be out there. Like, if one important person sees what you're doing and they're happy, then that can open up avenues for a lot of things. So I think basically that was happening, and the person who was there before me in this role, so he was leaving, and they wanted someone, and so the guy was leaving. Saideep, he reached out to me, said, I'm leaving this place. Do you want to join? I said, I mean, yeah, obviously, I'd love to explore it. What do I have to do? And then I got on a call with the management. They explained the role to me, and it was all very quick. Actually, I think. Jan 16th, 2023 was when I got the call from RCB. Jan 18th was when we discussed the role and what all will be a part of it. And by Jan 19th, I had signed the paper and I resigned on Jan 20th at Sportskeeda. So basically, in 4 days, everything just happened. And obviously, it was like a very big transition for me because from writing and editing articles about these cricketers, I was now among them and like creating content with them. So it was a massive boost for me as well. There was so much that I learned. But yeah, I mean, even for people who want to get into these teams, I mean, it's not as straightforward as applying to any other company, right? Because more often than not, these teams, most roles are word of mouth. Like, if you know someone in the team and they can reach out to you, then that's how it's done. um, Otherwise, most teams now have agencies, right, who handle their social media. So these agencies, they hire time and time again. So if they know the agency or if they can approach the agency, then that's another route as well. But mostly these franchises are word of mouth because, I mean, imagine, like, if a small company puts out the listing, then 2,000 people apply. If like an IPL team puts out a listing, then how many 10,000s will apply, and there's no way they can filter. So that's why it's mostly word of mouth. But if you're good and if you're out there, which is why I say you need to be shameless, that shamelessness will one or the other day pave way for you to do greater things.
Right. Very well said, sir. So, what exactly is your role at RCB?
So I am a producer and content manager. So my role is to produce videos. So whatever videos you see, it's obviously a big team that does it, but a majority of my work is to curate the scripts for the videos, then speak to the videographers on how to take those shots. Then once it's taken, we send it to the editor. The editor sets it together and packages it, and we publish the video. Right. So apart from that, it's also content managing, where we have a writer. So he sends in articles, I edit them, and then we get it put up on the website. And also, there's a part of it which is social media managing as well. So making sure that the posts go out and what needs to go out, how we can ideate and make it better. So, like, these are just like a threefold approach, but mainly it is producing and managing content. So that's the role.
So, the Mr. Nags videos we see or the interviews we see of people like Brandon McCullum and others, are they produced by you?
So the Mr. Nags part is like Danish Seth is so talented, and like he literally, as in, he has like a mind of his own and he's amazing in what he does. And so he has his own team that handles basically. But obviously we're all there around, and they plan it together and all of that. The Brendan McCullum thing, which was a part of leaders, so again it was a mix of the social media team and us sitting together, putting together the content. So obviously, my boss Ajit, who is the head of digital, he gives us an idea of how to go about things. He has a very streamlined approach, and it's great the way that the content flows out. So all of us put together, we come up with ideas. But mainly, so from when I started till now, I handled WPL entirely. But for RCB, rather the IPL, I was mainly handling 12th man TV. So, and also all the World Cup content that we did under 12th man TV. So that was again what I supervised entirely.
Nice.
So, coming to the next question, how does the RCB social media team or takes the decisions? Like, what is the process and strategy behind that? Maybe you could also shed some light on how different is the strategy from Sportskeeda that you were at?
So Sportskeeda, I wasn't involved with the social team at all. It was just content where I was involved, just articles on a daily basis and trying to populate it on a daily basis. At RCB, we have a social media team which works very diligently every day. They have, we have a fixed, we have a schedule where uh, the posts and what posts they are, the list comes out the previous evening, and that is approved by Ajit. And then we put out that content the next day. But like whenever something happens, like say if the IPL date is announced or like the IPL auction date is announced, we have creatives ready. So the social media team works on that. We share our ideas on how we can try and make it more fun, more engaging. And then all of those ideas come together, and then the creative or like the poster or just the post in itself, the idea is sent out, and the discussions happen. It is eventually approved, and then it goes out on social media. So that's the process. So it's an agency which comes up with the ideas. We try and make it look attractive, and then it eventually goes out on social media.
So does this also involve a lot of a lot of data analytics and stuff, like what would work well and what would not? So does this part of the process also are you also involved in this part of the process?
No, I'm not involved in the analytics part of it, but
Okay.
obviously in social media you have only like mainly you just have two things, right? So you can either put up like a reel or you can put up a post. So
Okay.
obviously it comes down to how much it can be engaging for the fans, because the bounce rate and everything, all these factors obviously are pivotal. But I'm not involved in the numbers part of it. But we try and come up with posts that can be engaging for the fans. How we can try and get them to start conversations on these posts. So that's always the idea. So that is my part of it, conceptualizing, trying to figure out how we can do things where fans can be interested in the whole process and be involved in what we're doing. Because otherwise, anyone can just put up some poster and say, this is the
Okay.
info and this is what it is. But how you can make it exciting, how you can involve fans, like how you can get them to start talking about that particular topic is what we try and come up with on a daily basis.
Right. So, sir, even when you interact with like cricketers and coaches, can you share some incidents or some anecdotes of who are great, which experiences you like and which ones you don't like, and some tidbits from what happens in the interviews and stuff like that?
Yeah, so the interview process is quite straightforward. So the previous day of when we want to shoot, we basically come up with the script and all of us discuss it and put our ideas together, and then we come up with the script. On the day of the practice or whenever we want to shoot, depending on the idea of the shoot, we tell the coaches or we tell the players that this is what we want to shoot, and we get the shoot done. So in general, all the players are very open to it because this is an age where social media is king, right? So like everyone uses social media and they want social media to be used as a tool to sort of like push ideologies and make things look good, because like obviously fans sitting at home or like anywhere else, they will want to know what the team is up to. So we feel it is our responsibility to make them feel like they're a part of the team, right? And so it's very nicely conceptualized into buckets of like RCB bold diaries, where it's about the players and the coaches. Then there's 12th Man TV, where it's about the fans. And then there's obviously Insider, which is Nags. And then we also have like multiple other segments where we put together. RCB Shorts is a major segment where we put together like under a minute reels. Um, Incidents as such, nothing really, as in, because again, every player is more than open to do all of these shoots. And I mean, like they do so many, they have done so many ads and so many other shoots that now they're used to it. So whenever we go with the camera, they're just like, it just gets done, right? And like we go and then we shoot and then we come back, package it, and we release the video. So there's no incident as such. Every player is great to shoot with. Like all of them are professionals, and so we've never had an issue as such where we've had to cancel or something. That's never been the case.
Right.
I see. So, I would also want to understand better, like, how does the social media thing as a whole pan out as a process, like, right from strategizing to getting the product out, and even after that, how do you come up with a better version of, say, a creative that you have created? Like, is there a lot of data backed decision making, or is it more like from the gut, like what would work in this scenario? Like, we all know, like, when we had World Cup or stuff, people were moved that India didn't win, so you need to come up with content that would engage people around that time. So how does all of this process work as a whole?
Yeah, so I mean, it's mainly trying to come up with interesting posts, right? Like I mean, the basic idea of how we come up with posts is like if you look at something, you should go, "Oh wow, this is great," right? Like, and there are obviously multiple ways because we have creative experts in the team, this specific designers, and then we have guys who are handling content on the graphic side of things. So I don't handle content on the graphic side. Mine is more written and video, right? So we
Right.
have experts over there. So they come up with the ideas. They speak to the designers. The designers make the creatives, and then they send it on the like our discussion panel. So once that is done, then obviously it is discussed on how we can make this better. If something needs to change, how we can look more attractive and all of those ideologies. And once that is done, obviously, if it needs rework, it is sent back to the designers. They're given the feedback, and then they come back with the final design, and then it's pushed out on social media. So it's more about just ensuring that first the concept is finalized, right? Once the concept is finalized, we then put together the concept into action, make the creative, and then we put out the creative on the discussion panel. So once that is done, depending on any feedback that comes, we move it around. So it is not as much data driven, I'd say. It is more about, again, trying to come up with something that can wow the fans, because we don't want to just put up I mean, you can just put up maybe say a poster which says we have what 23 crores left, we have 7 slots to fill, 4 of them are foreigners. If you put it out like that, then it becomes very boring. Versus say if you put out different elements. I don't know if you guys saw, we put out this thing about just after the retention, we put out this poster which had like FAF in the center, it had like the numbers
Yes.
around it and all. So different ideologies like that come together, because at any point you need to make something look good, right? Because if you're putting something very general, then that doesn't make you stand out as a franchise. It makes you any other fan page. So that's the idea.
Right.
Makes sense.
Very well said, sir. So let me summarize it. You started as a blogger, then the bridge happened, then Sportskeeda, you were a writer, and finally
Yeah.
at RCB, you are the producer and look after the social media. How do you see your future panning out, like the next 5, 10 years panning out?
Yeah, it's quite interesting. As in, obviously here I've come and I've learned so much in terms of how content is made, how people consume content, right? Like, I know for a fact that people can't watch videos which are more than 3 minutes long. Like any of us, I think, unless it's very interesting, if it's an interview where, say, if you're interviewing Virat Kohli, like the whole world's gonna watch it, even if it is for 5 hours, right? But if it is something else that you're doing, like some other creative thing, you need to make sure that the fans are hooked on. So with every video we produce, like we put in like an exact we have an exact understanding of how we want a video to look so that the fans enjoy it. That is at the core of all of our productions, right? So, and in the next 5-10 years, I think, I mean, genuinely I haven't looked that far, because right now this is a very new thing for me. I'm learning, because like I said, until I got into RCB, I was completely into the writing sphere where it was all text. It was all putting words on a document and then publishing the article. But here it's like a entirely different ball game. It's video where you have no room for errors at all, because once you put out the video you can't edit it, right? Because people have already seen it. In text you can obviously go back and edit it and things like that. So I mean, obviously broadcast is something that really excites me. Obviously being in the thick of things, trying to make content out of real time things that happen. Like obviously here at RCB, a lot of our footage we use is practice footage. So when we're at practice, we're trying our best to like get exciting shots of like people doing things and like good shots, good balls that they bowl, trying to package it together into one video. So That's the idea. And obviously, in 5-10 years, again, with the whole Reliance boom happening, where Jio's taking up everything, it's tough to say where sports journalism or broadcast is going to be in 5-10 years. But like in general, just in terms of coming up with content, coming up with creative content, there's so much that the space is right. And right now, I'm trying to figure out like where I would want to be, and I'm enjoying this process so much, learning so much that like it's really tough for me to say where I'll be in 5-10 years. It sounds like a cliche where all players are like we're trusting the process and all of that, but to be honest, like I'm at this stage, I'm still like only 9 months into the system, so just taking it and learning with the process right now.
Got it, got it. It was a very wonderful insight to all of the sports journalism, sports content creation insights that you gave us. So, moving on to the last bit of this podcast, we have a section called a rapid fire. You just have to answer
Oh
in
God.
one line or one word, whatever you feel like. So,
Okay.
I'll begin with the first question. So, what is the best part about your job?
Being with the players,
Nice. One thing that you'd like to change about your job?
the working hours.
Right. So this is a bit of a cliched question, but we still have it. Like, can AI take over your job in a few years?
Oh, it certainly can. It definitely can. But I mean, again, what am I supposed to say it in like one line, or what am I supposed to say?
You can go and expand upon.
No, so what I'd say is, especially in video, right? Like, obviously, the scripting of the video is essential to making the video look good. Because if you don't have a script, then you don't have an idea of what you want to do with the video. I'd say AI can take up the scripting bit of it, but the human touch of getting the shots, trying to understand how which shot will work well, how we can edit particular shots into. So we call the, say for example, if you're doing this chat and you want to put like background shots of me doing something while I'm talking, right? So those we call as B rolls. So the background rolls. So basically, if you want to do that, that's not something AI can do. AI can maybe script a video, but AI can't put together a video or make a video look good because you definitely need a human touch for that.
Right, right. What is that one missed opportunity that you wish you could have got a second chance at?
Oh man, I'd say I definitely in engineering I gave up the opportunity to play for the college team, and I mean I loved playing cricket, right? Like, and I was very good at it, very honestly. So maybe if I could probably go back in time and try and give my failing cricket career a chance, I would probably do that.
You see, what if not sports journalism, content creation? What would be an alternate career you could have gone for? I'm sure that you would not say engineering, but what would be some other thing that you?
See, honestly, I've thought about that myself. I'm very, very bad at studying. But one thing that really attracted me is cooking and baking, to be honest. So I think if not for this, I would have definitely wanted to become a chef. I don't know how good I'd be at it because I've tried my hand at cooking. I'd say I'm okay. I'm much better at baking than I'm at cooking. So probably it'd be between cooking or baking, one of the two.
Okay, nice. A final controversial one. What is your favorite IPL team?
Well, what can I say? I think it's quite obvious that I work for them. So RCB all the way. Unfortunately, we haven't won a title, but it'll happen. It'll happen soon.
Isala Cup namde.
God, we're saying that and losing every year. So not, we've decided as a team to never say that. Like never ever say that. The fans might say it, but we'll never say it.
Right.
It was super fun to talk with you and get all the insights. Like, really, really interesting talk with you. And I personally learned a lot of things on how did content creation, how can I get into content creation if I want to. It was really insightful. Thanks for your time on all of this.
Like personally for me though, it was like a fan moment because all those content which I consumed for last like I don't know like 5-10 years of RCB, I got to interact with a person who is behind those content. So it's like a dream come true for me. Was a great episode, Prasan. Thanks a lot.
No, man, you guys are too kind. I mean, honestly, the fact that you guys are doing this is great. Like, I mean, that's again, it sort of goes back to that whole point of being shameless because, I mean, in especially in video creation and in general, people need to have guts to take up certain things, right? Like, people may have an idea of saying, okay, you know, we want to interview people, we want to talk to people, but how do we do it? But you guys have taken up that initiative, and you know, you guys are doing great. I think.
Thank you for watching the podcast till the end.
If you have any questions or doubts for the guest, please let us know in the comments.
एंड इफ यू थिंक कि कोई क्वेश्चन बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, डू लेट अस नो ताकि वी कैन फोकस मोर ऑन दैट एस्पेक्ट नेक्स्ट टाइम.
और आप लोग थैंक यू मत कहिए, इंस्टेड 3 लोगों से शेयर करिए और उन तीनों से कहना कि और 3 लोगों से शेयर करें, दुनिया बदल जाएगी.